I think we're live again, and we're all back, and welcome to another edition of Streaming School. Imagine saying that like 5 times a day, but I suppose that's what a radio presenter has to do, isn't it? So thank you very much for joining us again. We have another session for you now, and this time we're going to be looking at physical education. Now, obviously, a lot of people will be doing Joe Wicks in the morning, and that's really, really good for actual physical workout. And obviously, those of you doing the GCSE know that you use a lot that you have to actually put in towards getting a qualification out of some of the work that you've been doing. And so hopefully you're going to get some of that continuity and the benefit now with our good friend Sam Winch, who was helping us with the maths yesterday. A very good morning to you, Sam.
Morning, guys.
How are you?
Yeah, raring to go. Looking forward to going through the education curriculum with everyone at home.
And just obviously, because we've got some teachers obviously who tap in and they're looking at stuff. I was just wondering, how have you found your first couple of bits and pieces of trying to teach online?
Yeah, it's something that I've done for a while now, and I think actually it's enabled me to improve my teaching as well. And I think those guys at home that have had some one-to-one stuff, and now it's going out to bigger groups of people, they're able to really interact with what we're doing. So it's good. I found it fun, a little bit nerve-wracking at times, but I think it gets easier in time, I guess.
Brilliant. Well, yeah, we're hoping that more and more teachers, obviously tomorrow we're going to actually start telling people, or tonight and tomorrow we're going to start telling people. So we're hoping that more teachers are going to volunteer. So it's really, really important that we've got your little bit of record there just to show your experience. And I think it's worth everyone just challenging themselves a bit, coming out their comfort zone and trying something new, which you're doing, and we're really super grateful for.
No worries. Let's give it a go.
Brilliant. So I'll get out of the way again, and you just tell us whenever you want us to switch. Thank you so much.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, thanks, Leon. Thanks, Nish. I'll just quickly start by introducing myself. We had a little bit of an introduction yesterday from a maths point of view, from a physical educational point of view. My background is international gymnast for 7 or 8 years, and then moved into my beloved football, where I played across 5 different countries, and have recently retired, and now I coach with Academy in the UK. I won't say which one, but in my eyes it's the best one in England. I've also worked with women's football teams, men's football teams, and the GB blind football squad. So I'm very excited with an array of different experiences. I'm excited to deliver today's tutorial, which, Nish, if you can switch to my screen, please. So we're talking about GCSE PE. What is it? So a quick introduction, because obviously at the moment there'll be a lot of people at home that will be already 3/4 of the way through, if you like, the year 10 or the year 11. So they know already what is expected in the GCSE PE. Now we're going to use the Edexcel exam board. However, both AQA, Edexcel, OCR, they still run the same way in terms of you'll be doing 2 exams, which make up 60% of your final grade, and you'll do 1 piece of written coursework, which is called your PEP. That's the personal exercise program. That makes up 10%, and then you've got video evidence of participation. So that makes it 30%. So it's changed quite significantly since I did GCSEs, if you like, 10, 15 years ago, where it was more emphasis on the practical side. Now the exams are so important, making up 60%. Okay, so we'll just breeze through a few things and how this works. So exam 1, which is aimed at the fitness and body systems. And exam 2 is health and performance, with one of them being 36% and the other one being 24%. You go on to the coursework. This is the PEP that we're talking about. Here you really need to hone in on one particular sport that you want to work on, and you then have to plan a training program that lasts for 6 weeks. You have to actually do it. Sometimes you can get some video footage of you participating in it from your teacher, maybe recording, or your peers, or your family at home. And then you just have to analyse and assess how you got on with that training program. And as you can see there, it's marked out 20, and it's split into 8 parts. Very self-explanatory, that coursework, and students that I've worked with in the last few years find it actually quite enjoying, because they can see quite enjoyable, because they can see the process and the progress that they're making whilst they're doing the coursework. And then finally, probably the most exciting, I think, for most students would be the actual practical performance. So again, you choose 3 sports that you get video footage on. if you are fortunate to be part of an elite environment, so whether you're part of a GB badminton squad or you play for your regional football team, or whether it's an academy, cricket club, whatever it might be, you will already be marked in the top 3/4 of that sport. Now, that's just assuming that you get, of course, video footage sent off to the exam board, but that's a really, really good opportunity for those that are keen sports students to get high marks and high percentages. Okay, so that's the breakdown really of how the GCSE PE qualification runs, and what you have to do to achieve that qualification. Just a 3 little pointers from me, really. Obviously, the first one is work hard and your practical lessons. That's a given, I think, in any walk of life. Working hard is very important, but take your practical lessons seriously at home. Keep working on those practical skills that you need to work on, and understand the rules and the skills that are expected of you. Your coursework, of course, must be linked to a sport of your choice. Don't just choose any random sport. Choose one that you enjoy and you feel most comfortable with. And then finally, this is more looking at what I'm going to deliver over the next few months or however long. Try and keep notes, especially when you go back to school into the classes. Keep notes so that when you go into the exam, you can really prepare yourself with good, strong revision. Okay. Now, just a little breakdown. What I've done here is just giving you an example of how we're going to deliver the course over the next however long. These are the next 4 lessons that we're looking at. Today we'll be touching on components of fitness, and we've got some exciting videos, and we're going to probably try a live fitness test, depending on, well, no, we're going to go for it anyway. Lesson 2, again, we're going to follow on from components of fitness, and then lesson 3 and 4, we will move on to the fitness tests. Okay? Now, we move on to the components of fitness. That's what we're looking at today. Now, every sport requires different components of fitness, depending on the demands of that event. These can either be used on their own or in combination with each other. So I want you to have a look at this video. This features the American gymnast Gabrielle Douglas. What I'd like you to do is just watch the video. It's a short clip, and then we're going to have a look at what component of fitness is key in this piece of video. So I'm just going to stop it there, so we can go back to the PowerPoint. So that was Gabrielle Douglas performing on the balance beam. That's a little bit of a giveaway, I guess, with the word balance beam in it. But for those who were able to guess, that component of fitness we're looking at there is balance in particular. Amongst a few other things, she involves power and, of course, some coordination going on there as well. The main feature of that video was balance. So we'll be looking in more detail at what actually balance is. And if I can just get my pointer here. There are 11 components of fitness that you need to revise. Now with these, we need to go into as much detail as possible, and you need to be able to give examples of when those components of fitness are used in different sports. So I would like you guys to really hone in on these 11 components of fitness, and it might give you an opportunity now to get these written down as quickly as possible. Although at the end of today's session, there will be a task that involves you revising, if you like, the names of these 11 components of fitness. So there they are. There's the 11 components of fitness. What we want to do now is give you another opportunity to see if you can watch a short clip, 10 seconds. In fact, you can see on the screen it's a little less than 10 seconds of the fastest man in the world. Here it is. Now, obviously not quite as quick as myself, but Usain Bolt, the second fastest man in the world. Obviously, the component of fitness there is quite straightforward. Of course, it's speed, and that is really important, of course, for someone such as Usain, or someone that is. There's very few sports, I guess, where speed doesn't play a part at some point. So it's important that you're able to associate the components of fitness to different pieces of video, to different pictures, to different sports, to different athletes, etc. But here are the 6 bullet points that I've created that will help you revise the components of fitness and understand and appreciate what it is you've got to go through. So, first of all, can you list all 11 components of fitness? Second bullet point, can you group all 11 into 2 categories, health-related and skill-related? And I'll go into a little bit more detail in terms of the difference between health-related and skill-related in a short while. Can you link the correct physical tests to each component of fitness? And that's something we're going to look at in week 2. Can you define each component of fitness? Can you link the correct component of fitness to a range of different sports? And then finally, what muscles are key to which components of fitness? Okay, so they're just some bullet points that you must be aware of when working with the components of fitness. So what I'd like to do is look at dividing health-related and skill-related. So dividing the components of fitness into the 2 groups. You'll need to be able to know this before going into your exam. So what is a skill-related fitness? Skill-related fitness refers to your ability to perform physical tasks efficiently as it relates to a particular sport. And of course, health-related fitness relates to your day-to-day activities. Now, I think it can be challenging sometimes to actually work out which components of fitness go into which group. So what I'd like to do is divide them up for you. And I'm going to actually share my screen so that I can, here we go. I'm just going to write down here for you which components of fitness go where. So if we look at the health-related components of fitness, you've got, and I do apologise about my writing. I apologise more about my pen.
Absolutely love this device, Sam. The sending for them on Amazon is about 3 weeks at the moment.
I just wish it came with better handwriting. Cardiovascular fitness.
Can't have it all, Sam. Can't have it all.
But I'm just used to numbers, I guess. So, muscular endurance. Then you've got strength and flexibility. I'll tell you what, I'm just going to do this side. And body composition. Now we'll go into more detail as to what each one is, defining them, the physical tests that go with it, how it's used, why it is used by a sportsman or sportswoman. So we'll do that at a later date. Of course, the skill related are just the other 6 that we need to go through. Okay, I'm not going to write them out now, so there's a few things I want to go through before we cut off in 7 or 8 minutes or so. So if I go back to my screen, just like, no, beg your pardon, sorry. There we go. Right, if we look at this PowerPoint. So here's an example question that would come up in GCSEs. This is taken from last year's GCSE paper, and this is exactly what it would look like. So it just simply says, you've got multiple choice questions, so you can do process of elimination, A, B, C, or D. Identify the most relevant component of fitness required to complete the arm action shown in figure 1. So figure 1 is a swimmer. Looks like he's probably performing the butterfly stroke. Is it balance, flexibility, body composition, or reaction time? Now that is only for 1 mark, but of course, I'm sure you can guess at home, the answer is B, flexibility. So you would get roughly 5 or 6, possibly more questions that have multiple choice answers. So a lot of the times you can do process of elimination. So yeah, but flexibility is the answer to that one. Daily task. Now, what I want to do is complete a worksheet. We're going to do this every time we do PE, because this is, for me, this is the best way in which you can hone in on those skills and understanding of a component of fitness. Again, I'll try and go through this a little bit quicker than perhaps normal. If I was in a lesson, I would probably spend a good 15-20 minutes just doing this worksheet so they can really understand a particular skill, a particular component of fitness, sorry. The first one we're going to look at is balance. So it might be that if you're at home and you've got some spare paper, you can actually create the when, the how, the why, and the what, with balance going in the middle. First of all, what is balance? Well, balance is the ability of the performer to retain their center of mass over their base of support without falling over. Now, that's a bit of a mouthful. In short, let me give you a couple of examples. You've got static balance and you've got dynamic balance. What does static balance look like? If you think of, let me choose a better pen. Think of a handstand. Oh, a handstand. So you're standing still. You're trying to be as still as possible without falling over. Now, a dynamic one is where you're moving at the same time, yet you've got to stay balanced. So your center of mass still has to be over the base of support. A dynamic movement might be someone like on a skateboard, or a skier, or a snowboarder, or a windsurfer, or something like that. That's a dynamic movement. Gymnastics, you get both static and dynamic movements. Now, I'll give you the full definition in Thursday's tutorial. Sorry. Okay, so when would you use it? When would you use balance? Now, my example here, there's many examples, of course, but I'm going to use a discus thrower, because they have to spin around a circle and without falling over. Now, obviously, the faster they spin, the more power they're possibly able to generate. So that would be a good opportunity to explain when balance is used. Again, gymnastics, of course, we saw the one with Gabby, the video of Gabby. That was a great example of when balance is used on a balance beam. Gymnastics is a great example to use a lot of components of fitness. So discus thrower would go when. Here we might say, how would you use, in fact, we'll come back to it. Build speed to help throw a good distance. How would you test it? Well, the balance component of fitness is tested with the standing, and this is the fun bit, the standing stalk test. This is where you stand on one leg on your tiptoes for as long as possible. And if I go back to my screen now, I think I've got a picture. Yeah, brilliant. So what I'd like to do, if possible, well, I say like, I'm not sure if I'd like to do it, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to try and do the stalk test with you guys at home. So, Nish, if you could switch back to me if possible. Okay? Yeah. And what you have to do is, if you see in the picture on the components of fitness, the man had his arms on his hips, he lifted his leg to his knee, and then took it to the side with the right knee facing forwards, the left knee opening out to the left-hand side, hands on his hips, and then holding that position for as long as possible. The final thing you've got to try and do, and this is where it gets a little tricky, is to then go up onto your tiptoes and to hold it for as long as possible. Okay? But for the beauty of live television, I fell over after 5 seconds. Nish, you can switch back to my screen, please. Cool. So I lasted 5 seconds as a man or a woman. If you last for less than 20 or 10 seconds respectively, you are rated at poor. So great for me, I got poor. You guys can try that at home. Of course, you can see the scores on the board there. That's an opportunity for you to see where you might rank if you were to do the balance fitness test. I'm also out of breath. Okay, Next screen. Sorry, actually, we're going to come back to that because we've got. In fact, no, brilliant. We're going to finish with this. But before I show you this video, I want to just remind you of the 2 tasks. There's a task that Leon and Nish are going to put on the website for you to click on, and I want you to work through that if you want to. It's optional, of course. However, I think it's really important that you really come to terms with the 11 components of fitness, understanding what they are and which group they go into, whether it's health-related or skill-related. But finally, I just wanted to leave with this video. It's something that inspires me. It's just one that inspires me every day, and I think it's important that every time we do PE, I show you a quick 30-second clip of something different every day that inspires me. Of course, there's many things out there. Football is one of my particular favourites, and this is, for me, one of the greatest moments in football of all time. Tomorrow we might choose a different sport. So Thursday.
No.
Okay. So, Nish, if I can come back on the screen, please.
That's unreal. When was that, Sam?
So that was that's 2000 and we're going to say 2011, around then, maybe 2010. But yeah, I don't know about you guys. Even if you're not a football fan, I should probably have painted the picture. That's the semi-final of the playoffs to get into the Premier League. Of course, that's worth winning that playoff is worth 100 million to a football club. So it's quite an important game. And Troy Deeney, in the 97th minute, scored that dramatic winner. That's just a small clip of millions of inspirational things that are out there in millions of different sports. But that's one of my favourites.
Yeah,
so I hope you enjoyed it. And I'll see you tomorrow for mathematics, and I'll see you on Thursday for PE.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much, Sam. Really, really appreciate it. We really appreciate as well taking the time to actually put together the stuff that's going on for the GCSE, helping people there as well. Are those components of fitness something that will come up, every year on all different exam boards, regardless?
Yes, they are. Yeah, the components of fitness are really, really important. So they've changed slightly over the last few years, where there was 12, now there's 11. I think they might break it down to 9 or 10 in the next year or so. But things like speed, balance, strength, they'll never go away.
Brilliant. Thank you so much again. Really look forward to having your lesson again tomorrow, and it's great to have you with us every single day. Really, really appreciate your time, and another great lesson, another great session, and look forward to catching up with you again tomorrow.
Wicked. Cheers, guys. See you tomorrow.
Thank you so much. Okay, Nish, it's all on you. Because you're obviously getting the kindly going to put things onto the magical space of Facebook for us.
Yep.
And we'll take your screen share as well to get the task up.
Yep, I'm sharing now.
You're very, very kind. I'm actually sitting enjoying the lessons. My brother's, I don't know if I ever told you, my brother's got a PhD, and what he does is he doesn't really ever want to have a kind of quote unquote proper job. So he just does a lot of online tutoring with disabled students. And the thing that he does all the time is he just says every single lesson I love, because I'm basically being paid to learn. That's all he does all day. He's basically being paid to learn. All right, good. So what's our focus today? The components of fitness. Having watched the 2 previous videos of thinking of sports, men and women, can you list all 11 components of fitness? What does a sport person need to be successful? And if they didn't have this component, they wouldn't be a professional athlete. Okay, so we're being asked to isolate those things and to put them up so people can get this from watching the video again. And obviously just researching it. So it's just a quick refresher task of what we've done earlier today. So if you post those items up, Nish, we'll be back again for science in about 18 minutes.
Cool.
Thank you, Nish. Yeah, this is where I won't go big screen for some reason. There we go. Saved us. All right, I'm going to do the whole run out of the room thing again. Oh no, I've got to stop the session, haven't I? Yeah. Smooth Haley. And And we're live again. How's the Facebook stream coming through?
Yeah, it's coming through good now.
All right, brilliant. I'm going to get out of the room again until we meet our good friend Michael Scott. Until we meet our good friend Michael Scott for science.
Right.
Speak to you in a moment.
Yep.
Thank you. Hello, Nish.
Hey,
Guess
okay.
who's back? Oh no, it's a time of national difficulty. Let's not break into someone's house. But yeah, just got the text message through now.
Hope they're all okay.
Yeah, I hope so too. I hope so too. Oh, welcome, Michael Scott. How are you, my friend?
Yes, you're right, man. How's everyone going?
Really good, buddy. Really good. Thank you for being prompt and on time. We're live, but we still got a few minutes, so don't worry about a thing. Just ask anything. We'll get everything set up for you, buddy.
Yeah, no, that's cool. I think I've got everything sorted now, anyway.
You're a good man. We can't see we can't see your Troy Deeney-esque handsomeness. Is that on purpose?
No, I've just got this screen. So as soon as you guys let me, take control of the screen, I've got everything.
Oh no, we'll do that for you, Mike. So if you go to present as well, you can have both running at the same time, and we can flip between you for you.
So 1 second. Yeah. 1 sec. So a specific window.
How's the YouTube channel going today?
What's that, Leon?
How's the YouTube channel going today?
I've not done any work on it. I'm working for you today. Yeah, there you go, mate. There you go.
Thank you so much, buddy. Thank you so much. Really, really appreciate it. All right, so in about a minute, I'm going to give you a lead in, and then we'll go from there. But like I said, we are live anyway. But yeah, it's gone really well again this morning. Did you catch any of it this morning?
I've not, Leon. No, mate.
Yeah, fair play.
I've not today. No, because I've still got 3 kids at home, and I've got to homeschool them.
Are you still? I've almost given up on homeschooling during the holiday. I was like, you've earned this break. You've earned this break from your father. You've earned this break from your father. Yeah. So we like. I did a huge fail, Mike. I ordered 6 footballs, right? And I was like, oh, this is gonna be brilliant. Get 6 footballs. They'll just run around in the garden and play football. And then, no joke. And then they all came flat, and I didn't have a pump. But obviously, to anyone else, that's the most obvious thing in the world. But I've never bought a flat football. I've always got into a shop and bought one. And obviously, why would they send you a pumped up football online? But yeah, so I've got 6 flat footballs. So yeah, it's a bit of a fail there. But cool, right? So thank you very much.
Test your lungs.
Say again, bro.
I said that would test your lungs.
Oh, I went on YouTube to try and find all the different ones. They're like, yeah, how to pump up a football without a pump, and like it was like use a spray can and the
Bro, anyone who's done a video on how to pump up a football without a pump, I want to watch it. Yeah,
I was watching. Honestly, that's the thing during the lockdown. You just get really lost in a really weird world on YouTube. But yeah, it's more than ever. Right. So I'm going to introduce you now, my friend.
Yo, just a quick one, Leon. Just a quick one. So once the 20 minutes are done,
yeah,
are you gonna like kind of say I'm don't know. Do you want me to be like, all right, guys, you know? See you later?
Yeah. I can send you a text on WhatsApp just to keep you posted, or I can just give you a 5-minute alert, and just completely up to you, bro.
All right, cool.
Cool. All right. Thank you very much for tuning back into the streaming school. Obviously, as you've heard, we've got my good dear friend Michael Scott, a fantastic science teacher with a great YouTube channel as well, that's showing a load of different science experiments coming to life. I got to admit, part of my homeschooling with my kids was watching how Michael does the experiments, and they were absolutely engrossed. What's the name of the channel, Mike?
Ultimate Learning.
Thank you. So if you check out Ultimate Learning on YouTube, you'll see some great science experiments being done in parks and in homes and recreationally, and it just really brings some of the fun and experimental nature outside of the classroom into the home. So without further ado, I'm going to pass over to Michael Scott, who's going to give a brief introduction of himself, and then he's going to start kindly working with us and taking us through some of the elements of GCSE science. All right, Michael, I'm switching over. Do you want me to switch over to your computer screen, Mike?
Yeah, if you put my screen on, that'll be perfect.
Brilliant. Okay, it's all you now. Thank you very much. And if you need to ask me or Niche anything, we are willing students.
Not a problem. Not a problem. Thank you.
Thank you. All over to you, buddy.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the streaming school first lesson in science. I'm typically going to follow the pattern of biology, chemistry, then physics. So today what we'll do is we'll cover lesson 1, as you will, for GCSE biology. And this lesson really, in the 20 minutes, I typically plan to cover what you guys need to know regarding cells. So cells are the building blocks of life. And there are 2 main types of cell that you need to look at in GCSE. We have a prokaryotic cell, and we also have eukaryotic cells. Now, there are some differences between these 2 types of cells that you are expected to know. And you can see on the side here that I've got a table where it allows us to compare eukaryotic and prokaryotic cells. The major difference between the 2 is that prokaryotic cells do not contain a nucleus. Their genetic material tends to just float in the cytoplasm, and we'll get onto all of those different parts in just a second. Whereas a eukaryotic cell contains all of its genetic material inside of a nucleus. Prokaryotic cells typically do not contain any membrane-bound organelles, things like mitochondria. Again, where eukaryotic cells, they do typically contain these membrane-bound organelles. Prokaryotic cells do contain DNA, but they contain these rings of genetic material that we call, or we refer to them as plasmids. Whereas eukaryotes, their DNA is stored in structures called chromosomes. And again, we will get onto all of these different structures in just a second. Now, the final row here, where you're expected to know some examples. Well, the most common example of a prokaryotic cell is quite simply bacteria. And eukaryotic cells, the common ones that everyone will be aware of, are things like animal cells and plant cells. Now, the reason that we know so much about cells is due to one discovery of the microscope. And it's thanks to microscopes that we now have a more detailed knowledge about cells and their structures. And again, there are 2 microscopes that you are expected to know all about. We have the electron microscope, and we also have a light microscope. Now, you may be more aware of the light microscope because this is the one that you'll use in schools, and it's typically the one that you've probably used since you was in year 7. So just to discuss really about the light microscope, some of the drawbacks about using a light microscope is that it has a really low resolution. Now, that word resolution, it just means the ability to distinguish between 2 points. So light microscopes are not very good at being able to distinguish between 2 separate points. And they also have a really kind of weak magnification. They're not able to kind of zoom in and give the detail that we need. Now, this is a complete opposite for electron microscopes. And it's thanks to the electron microscope that we now have, more insight on the organelles inside of cells. The reason for that is that the electron microscope has a really high resolution. And what that means is that the electron microscope is able to distinguish between different points in a cell, ultimately giving us more detail. And they also have a really big magnification, meaning that we're able to zoom in pretty well with a electron microscope. So that allows us to see different organelles and also allows us to see them in more detail. So what we're going to do now, we're going to take a look at some examples of eukaryotic cells. That's what I want to focus on for this part. I just want to focus on eukaryotic cells. And we're going to take a look, first of all, at the common one that a lot of people will know. And these are called animal cells. And we can typically tell this is an animal cell, one, by its shape, and for the pure fact that the animal cell does not have a cell wall, but it has a cell membrane. Okay, this outer structure, this outer layer is called a cell membrane. And the cell membrane controls what comes in and out. Of the cell. We then have, if you look at this light blue part of the cell here, this, we refer to this as the cytoplasm. And the cytoplasm is where chemical reactions occur. So all the cell's chemical reactions take place in the cytoplasm. Okay, you may be able to see these small purple structures. These small purple structures are called mitochondria. And mitochondria contain the enzymes for respiration. Now, respiration is the process by which energy is released from glucose. And animal cells need those mitochondria because we need to release energy from glucose for things like contraction of muscles, to keep us warm, and to build up pretty large molecules, things like proteins. And then this dark circle here in the center, this is called the nucleus. And remember, we said at the beginning that all eukaryotic cells contain a nucleus. And inside the nucleus, you would typically find the DNA. And the DNA is stored in thread-like structures called chromosomes. So that's pretty much what you guys need to know regarding animal cells. I'm just going to take a look now at a plant cell. And there are some similar structures within the plant cell. So I'm not going to go through their function, but you'll notice here, look, that we've got a nucleus again, and it has the exact same function as the animal cell. I'll just quickly make a note that it contains the DNA. You'll notice that we've got these really small purple structures again. They're not purple in real life, but just in this diagram. These are the mitochondria again. So plant cells contain mitochondria. Again, remember, mitochondria contain the enzymes for aerobic respiration. We also have cytoplasm, again, where the chemical reactions occur. And we also have this inner layer. Now, just be careful that you always point to the innermost part of this layer. You'll see here, and if I zoom in closer, you should be able to see that there's like 2 layers on the outside of this cell. Well, I'm pointing to the inner layer, okay? And that inner layer right there, it's the inner layer that we refer to as the cell membrane. And remember, the cell membrane is what controls what can come into the cell and also what can leave the cell. Okay, the plant cell does have some of its own specific organelles, and we're going to take a look at those just now. So the first one that I want to look at is this layer on the outside here. This is called the cell wall. Now, the cell wall is made of a chemical that we call cellulose. And what the cell wall does, it provides structure and strength for the plant cell. The next organelle that I wanted to look at is this large organelle in the middle here that we refer to as a vacuole. Now, the vacuole contains cell sap. Okay? And it's this cell sap in the vacuole that keeps the cell turgid. Now, that word turgid, it just means stiff. So the vacuole's main function within the plant cell is to keep the plant cell stiff so it can keep standing up. We also have these green structures here, which we call chloroplasts. And chloroplasts contain a green pigment that we call chlorophyll. And it's the chlorophyll that absorbs sunlight. And we know that the leaves of a plant will contain lots of chlorophyll because it needs to absorb that sunlight for photosynthesis, the process to make glucose. Now, both animal and plant cells will also contain a organelle that we call ribosomes. And I forgot to put ribosomes in the diagram. but both animal and plant cells will contain an organelle that we call ribosomes. Now, the ribosomes are just responsible for making protein. It's the site where protein synthesis occurs. Now, you could typically be asked in your GCSEs, and I'm just going to rub this organelle out here at the top. You could typically be asked how animal and plant cells are different and also how they're similar. So if we just make a quick table here of similarities and differences. Okay. The similarities between a plant and animal cell, they both have nucleus. They both have a cell membrane. They both have ribosome. And they will also both have mitochondria. Okay. But what makes them different, obviously, is that the plant cell has a few extra organelles. And it's those extra organelles that obviously make them different from each other. So the plant cell has the vacuole, and it's only plant cells that have vacuoles. Plant cells also have the cell wall, and they also have chloroplasts. So typically in an exam, you could be given a diagram of an animal or a plant cell. You could be asked to label the key organelles. You could be asked their functions, but you could also be asked the differences and similarities between the two. All right, guys, so I hope you've enjoyed our first lesson, and we'll be back to do a bit more chemistry and physics this week.
Thank you so much, Michael. That's really, really appreciated. Really, really calming. You could just listen to you talk about science for a long time. It was really relaxing. No, I'm not even joking. Mike, we've obviously had some more teachers volunteer this week, and we're going to be having more people coming in the coming weeks. Would you mind just sharing with us, like, how you feel about like teaching online, presenting online, what the challenges are, how it's different from classroom as well? Just because obviously there's teachers watching this, and just kind of want to calm some of their worries and concerns.
I think in light of what's going on, it's forced people to go and start to use technology in a different way, I suppose, because teaching online is not something that I've done prior to this, this COVID-19. But I find in order the amount of people that you're able to reach, and utilizing technology, especially this is where the kids are at, and being able to utilize a platform that they're probably more familiar with, I found it quite useful. I say the drawdown, or the disadvantage, I suppose, with online, it's more about teaching is about relationships and building up those connections with young people, which can be a bit off-putting if you're just looking into a webcam or a digital whiteboard.
Yeah, I don't think we're ever going to replace that, and I don't think technology. I don't understand it unless we suddenly have holograms. Someone's got hologram technology, which is something.
Oh, AI is coming. AI is coming.
Yeah, when we have that like hologram technology and the rest, and I think it's been really interesting watching people debate and try and understand as they navigate the new space. But that program that you're using there, Mike, what's it called? That looks like a great whiteboard.
This is I'm not an affiliate, but it's BitPaper.
BitPaper, all right, great stuff. And how are you writing so clearly? Have you got a graphics pen?
No, this is all on the mouse.
Mike, if I tried to do that with a mouse, if I tried to do that with a mouse, if I tried to do that with a mouse or with a trackpad, I would literally be like, oh, okay, he's on.
This is again, I'm not an affiliate, but I've got a Wacom board.
Oh, so so you do have a tablet pen.
Yeah, I've got a tablet pen.
All right, yeah.
I just want to amaze the people to see if they'll be amused.
I was looking at it just be like, that is impossible. That is impossible. That is absolutely impossible. That's great stuff, man. Thank you so much, Mike. And we've got your task. We're going to be putting that up on the Facebook page now. And then I think our next lesson with you, Mike, is Thursday.
Yeah, no problem.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Mike. Really, really appreciate you giving up your time. And look forward to speaking with you again soon.
Take care, guys. All the best.
God bless. Thank you. Bye.
All right, bye.
How relaxing was his voice, Nish?
I know.
I was just kind of like, yep. Right, was it ribosomes and cell walls and the rest?
I was just like, yeah, sure.
Yeah,
sure.
I was just like, he must be right. It must. It sounds good. So it was really, really calming. All right, great. Is that us done for the day?
We have his task.
Yeah, one more task to put up. Yeah, that's right. So I think I will leave this one to run with the task, and then it's another. That was a really good day. Which obviously each of the lessons, even though you're listening, you can take away. I'm not going to lie and pretend I didn't try Sam's thing to see how fit I was to try and stand like that half tree pose. I did it for 12 minutes, Nish. I'm fine. 12 minutes. 12 minute stand.
Haven't tried yet. I will later.
Say again.
Haven't tried yet. I will later.
Yeah. It's just so much, and it's really interesting. Obviously, thinking from a teaching point of view, or if you're a learning point of view, should I say, just to see how different all the styles are.
Yeah.
And that's one thing is kind of like a classroom. When you're a teacher in a classroom, it changes so much of your personality is put out on the wall. Some of your personality is put out in the tools that you use. But what we're asking teachers to do here is constrict so much of what they do down to what tools they have available. And we just don't know what that is yet. We like Mike said, what was it, bit paper and the tablet and the rest.
Yeah.
It's completely it's just completely different. And obviously Sam's got his visualizer. So it's interesting to see the different teaching techniques. I think, when we're doing, maybe week 3 or 4 of streaming school, have a whole load of best practice for teachers as well, and really get a good blue point pan out to people.
Yeah, definitely.
Brilliant. Anything else we need?
No, not at the moment. I'm just going to share my screen.
All right, brilliant.
And put the task up.
Magic. Okay, so we'll leave this one running, and then I'll be back in perfect. Suggest why plant roots do not contain chloroplasts. So I presume these are exam. So I think we're missing a knot there, Nish. Suggest why plant roots do not contain chloroplasts. And now that was seamless. Great stuff. Brilliant. I will see you again in 15-20 minutes just to close down this stream.
Cool.
Thank you so much for your help again, Nish. Really, really appreciate it. Are you enjoying it?
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, I've already had one colleague who's a deputy who watched a bit of it, and he was just saying, like, how are you doing that? And I think that's a we get to show more schools and teachers how they can do this for themselves, because it's powerful, really powerful.
Yeah, so helpful.
No, brilliant. I will see you in 20 minutes with it.
Yeah, see you.
Thank you.
When it's up and running, we'll let you.
No, never take anyone's money. Never take anyone's money. That's one good thing about me. Like I'm generous to a fault.
See you later. Bye.
God bless you. Let's switch it off. Good to see you. Yeah. You drive home nice and safely.
Yeah. Yeah. Should we get some food?
That would be lovely. Thank you, darling. Niche.
Yeah.
See, no, Niche is there as well. Yeah. So people can hear the door go through. All right, Niche. So I think that one's done for today, and we'll rethink the tasks. Maybe we'll just put it up for 1 minute, and then the links, and then that'll be that. It's just the reason that I liked it was because people would be able to come and see the. Oh, sorry. I'll just stop this before we do that. No need for me to